back. Another AV Jam number, some or another that nobody knows anymore. We have an absolute superstar with us today, Brock McGinnis of Westbury Nationals. Give us a wave, Brock. There he is.
How are you, Kev?
I'm absolutely marvellous, sir. We are going to take on a topic that we've mentioned for a while. I'm going to talk about audio and audio first and audio issues. And it kind of comes really well after an AV in the AM, where this question was actually posed. And I'm going to let Jace and Brock actually kind of carry on where they left off.
Also, when question 4 hit, you were having a quiet day. You were probably with the family and enjoying whatever you were enjoying. And then you saw that question and you were like, right, I'm coming in now. I'm coming in with Kev's opinion because I'm not standing for this crowd. Because even you bit at some of this. I think AV's missing an opportunity. While IT are sort of moving in, we seem to want to stay. IT can do displays easier than they can good audio, right? That's the whole point we're here. But we seem to be failing to be doing good audio.
Yeah, and sometimes it's our fault. Sometimes it's the customer's fault. A lot of times I think it's just laziness within the sales approach that we're not advocating strongly enough. You can have a meeting, as we're having right now, without video. You cannot have a meeting with good audio. People need to understand each other. And as the business world, the work world has gotten more diverse, the challenges around audio, there are people with accents who were born speaking languages that are not the same one as we're having this meeting in. There are soft-spoken people. There are very loud people. The audio needs to accommodate all of those in order for the meeting to progress properly. And we always blame the UC guys, by the way. Westbury National was an audio company long before it was an AV company. And our background in doing theater, live music performance, stadiums, arenas, large venues, good audio is kind of part of our blood. And then we come into this, 10 or 12 years ago, we came into the meeting space and we just went, crap, people are having 14 and 16 person meetings shouting down the tube of a plastic toilet in the form of a starfish phone. They can't hear each other. No wonder people switch off in meetings. They can't get the T's and the P's and the D's that define understanding in the English language. Folks don't enunciate well. And so the AV industry has gone about doing all sorts of things to try and fix that. Starting with ceiling microphones, which was the beginning of the conversation that you and I had on Twitter. Because you said, Jason, that you hated ceiling microphones.
I do. I as you know, Brock, I'm quite sort of. I'll put something out there to just get people sort of coming back at me in conversation. What I really hate, and I did say this on Twitter in AV in the AM shortly afterwards, is the user's expectation of ceiling microphones. So ceiling microphones delivered properly can perform, but user expectation of what they will do, the basic laws of physics is the closer the microphone is to the noise, the better the quality is going to be. With some exceptional circumstances with some of the newer mics coming to market now, which they won't pay for. And the user expectation of ceiling mics is put something, 6 foot in the air and expect it to be of the same quality of my microphone, which is, 20 inches in front of me.
It's a problem. And interior designers and architects are involved in that. Clients are involved. Oh, we have a reconfigurable room. It's too much trouble to put the microphones on the table. And, we're setting it up this way and we're setting it up that way. It's like, okay, so we have discussion systems for that. They're wireless. It's a little microphone and a speaker. It goes on the table. Well, we're not going to pay $25,000 to put audio in this room. No, hang some of those disco ball mics on the ceilings, and everything will be just fine. We also call them dingle balls. And I have a soapbox, and the soapbox comes out of my briefcase regularly. You know, those microphones were designed for prisons, for surveillance, and maybe they're designed for choirs where everybody's chin is up and everybody is projecting out properly and knows how to speak. But even as we're speaking right now, our heads are down. You know, we're projecting straight out. We're not going up, and the laws of physics don't work. So those microphones are getting as much reflected sound as they are direct sound, and it's crap, and it's our fault at the end.
I agree. I will always say it's our fault. We've got to be, as much as possible, it's not even brave, it's just honest about what the performance actually is. We then have to be a bit more, I think, it's more confident in our knowledge when we're talking to, Noel will remember this, architects who want to put the microphone in the ceiling behind the ceiling tile. Not actually hanging from the ceiling, in the ceiling, above the suspended ceiling, so nobody can see it. And there is just that expectation that it's in the room, so it must work.
Yeah, or pointing at the aircon unit, or looking out, or whatever else out the window. You know, I'll never see another ceiling mic again. It's too soon.
And pointing at the speaker has always been my favourite. It hangs out of the ceiling, in the same tile as the speaker. I like that one. I've seen that a fair few times. That's beautiful.
So, you know, I think in our trade, all we can do is end up advocating. And if you start with a 6 or 8 person meeting room that has a sound bar, and a sound bar that's under a TV is actually a brilliant solution, because when we're having this conversation by video, we're looking at the TV. So our voice is going in that direction. Your sound, your conversation with me is coming from that TV. That makes perfect sense. I'm seeing you, I'm hearing you, we're talking back in that direction. And it's attempting to get all of the other stakeholders in the design and decision-making process to understand that in fact is the ideal. I had whacked back at Jason on Twitter and said, you know, if Jason gets to hate ceiling microphones, I'd like to admit I hate ceiling speakers, because my ears are not in the top of my head. And I do not wish to listen to you from behind me, or a reflection off the window behind me, as well as, of course, direct and all of the intelligibility issues that come with that. And yet, willy-nilly, we put ceiling speakers everywhere. Yeah.
Since you posted that, I've seen a few people sharing their install pictures, and even manufacturers, I won't name them, with, look at this, and I keep seeing ceiling speakers, and since you've said that, and I agreed with you, I'm sort of like, don't like that. I've got almost a little bit sanctimonious about it, or I don't like that anymore, kind of thing.
It's one of them things that has almost become wrongly acceptable. And as you said, we have to be, surely, as an industry, we have to be to blame for that. Has our kind of laziness, could it be said, in design, driven the commoditized world that we seem to be coming into at the minute, and that whole DIY world that we're coming into? Because we've just been putting in what is potentially crap that someone said, well, I can just do that myself. Why pay these guys?
I don't think keen to receive the PO at a lower value rather than have the spuds to say, no, I'd rather not take your order on that design.
I actually think in the ceiling speaker discussion that it's not the integrator's fault. The integrator, a client cannot do it yourself with ceiling speakers. They have to have somebody else come in and do that. And so integrators may in fact be biased towards ceiling speakers because it's something that they have to do. And we've got all of these complex, I don't know how much you folks are into audio DSP and large conference room design, but all of these mix minus schemes, when microphone 16 is on, speaker 17 and 18 go out automatically. When you press this button, incredibly complex, incredibly expensive. And the reality is that if we relate back to regular human experience, we watch movies, we watch television, we listen to concerts, and all of that sound is coming from where the presenter is speaking from, right? Where the performer is. And yet we go into these larger rooms, and all of a sudden there's disassociation between the source of the sound and where that sound is coming from. This is not good. Yes, can you use delay speakers? Can you, if you've got a 32-person conference room with some great upfront loudspeakers that are projecting the presenter or the video off to the room, can you use some ceiling speakers close to the back to subtly reinforce that so that you don't have to blow people's heads off in the first two rows in order for it to be loud enough and intelligible at the back? Yes, you can do that, and that works great. And there's electronic compensation that we can do to make up for that. But it is about advocacy, and if the conversation first is user experience, what do people relate to best? Sitting in their living room watching television, or sitting in front of their computer having a conversation like this. I'm wearing a headset, but you're all listening to audio that is coming from your computers. And so the challenge, how do we replicate it in a large room? The designer will say, well, I don't want big speakers on the wall. And and then the challenge becomes, well, I actually want to make a presentation from a lectern at the head of the table. How do I avoid feedback at that point, where the loudspeaker is behind the microphone, which is of course a challenge as well. But yes, audio needs to be the number one design criteria in every meeting room, whether it is local or to broadcast to far end.
It's before V, almost everywhere except for digital signage, isn't it?
Yes, and thank goodness there's not a lot of audio and digital signage, or our brains would be entirely assaulted wherever we went.
Could you imagine that cacophony of just noise? No, I couldn't be doing that. What's mad is, I was thinking, I've read so many things over the years where people put in order, in a meeting room, what is the most important. And it's always been A before B, and then it became audio content, video, in that world. Video's kind of always been last. But it always feels like at the minute that everybody is looking at that first.
Well, when you
almost looking at it the wrong way round, and I don't get that.
Yeah, but when you say everybody, and I've been doing this for like 6-7 years, you're talking from a professional point of view. When
the
user comes in and goes, "This is my boardroom," what they generally go is, "I want you to have a really cool looking screen because I can see it."
Yes,
that's what I want. And so that's when the conversation with the sales guys or whoever's working with them at that time has to extol the virtues of actually, don't worry about that screen. It's going to look the same no matter what's on it. It's what you're actually hearing in this conversation. And, if we're not having it like we are face-to-face and you're getting the muffled sounds of everything else, then it's not going to work, right? It's the expectation of the user that we need to shift, not the group of people that we've got here.
I agree with Noel. The users are sort of like, they're downplaying the importance of audio. You could have a really cool installed boardroom, but if the remote participant is third party and they've downplayed their experience, then you're only as good as the weakest link. So somebody's always going to knacker it up for you, right?
Correct. Yeah. So who's most at fault for knackering? The
Kev.
There are a lot of packaged solutions, and you're buying a kit or you're buying a VTC system from one of the big manufacturers, and they'll tell you that oh yes, this microphone is good for a 20-foot radius, and then we all go to Google and go, is radius the whole way across or is that half the way across? Trying to remember, but a 20-foot radius is a huge conference room, right? That could be a table that's 32 feet long and seating 14 or 16 people aside.
Yes.
And they're going to put a starfish phone in the middle of that with a couple of weenie extension mics, and the extension mics help. If the cables aren't wrapped up with all the other things that are on that table. But there are manufacturers that are communicating with clients that, oh, this will be just fine. The real challenge is that the people in that big room, they don't hear the problem. As long as the speaker is loud enough for the far end, it's the folks that they're talking to that can't hear squat. So you think about the central room in the main office, and then there is a distributed sales force or a distributed technical force, and they're all calling into their weekly sales meeting or their weekly product update meeting, and they can't hear squat. And that's not collaboration, and that's not communication. And somebody has misled folks to believe that you may have noticed Jason AV in the AM last week, David Danto, complaining about some of the same issues. It's like, how can my competitors say that this microphone is going to pick up? The microphones that work are the ones that are right beside your mouth or the ones that are right in front of you. And the farther away that voice is going to be from the microphone, the more background noise, the greater the signal to noise or voice level, the louder it is, the more people have to enunciate in order to be heard correctly. And that's crap. But the IT manager understands it because all they have to do, she or he has to do, is plug that little phone in, and it works. And everybody knows how to use it. And there's no support, and there's no training, and there's no complexity. Oh, my boss would never allow me to have gooseneck microphones in front of every seat at the table. That'll look ugly. Okay. So on picture day, we'll take them out. And the rest of the time, you'll have great meetings. Wouldn't that be good to have a great meeting where you could hear? You want the CEO. You want the CEO to be the one that phones in to the meeting and is constantly going, could you repeat that? Pardon me. Excuse me. What was that?
You just give up, don't you?
Yeah.
If you're dialed in, and I'm talking of giving up, we got to thank you. We're going to have to do this again because that wasn't long enough. We could have gone on.
I could have started a whole other topic at that point. The moment you got onto manufacturers and what they do, manufacturers and marketing and content, that's a whole other thing, and I could have gone.
It's David Danto's exactly right. It's irresponsible to claim the 20-foot pickup from one microphone, and it's not even a special microphone that's doing that. It is irresponsible marketing, and as Brock said, the IT managers are buying into that.
So here's the thing with us as integrators. We have the ability to prove to our clients that we're right. We can set up a test environment. I'm not sure about your office, but we have a lot of demonstration kit in ours. We have lovely digitally steerable ceiling microphones. We have digital table microphones. We have goosenecks. We've got discussion systems. And it's easy to bring our client round to our office and say, let's take turns sitting in the car. You sit in your car in our parking lot and phone in to our meeting. and tell me what you hear and how you feel. And we can switch from one product to another. And then let's switch spots. Why don't you sit in this room and listen to me from my car in the parking lot calling into this meeting? Tell me what you hear. Is that good? Is it not good? What is the best experience for you? And of course, a gooseneck mic that is close to you. You might as well be in a cathedral pulpit speaking to the masses, because it's perfect. It's pristine. Wearing a headset, which we try and get our live performance clients to do, because a headset is pristine. The microphone element is always exactly the same distance away from the mouth. It's perfect. So then let's move to the digitally steerable ceiling microphone. Let's listen to the dingle balls. There are new generation of hanging microphones that apparently were not designed for prisons and surveillance that now have some of that, digitally steerable aspect to it as well. But they still look like something that somebody might come along and cut down with scissors, but we have an opportunity, and the laziness is when we don't say, let's do a test fit, let's do a pilot, let's get more people from your organization to participate in this decision, because this is not about us selling you a package from a brochure. This is us trying to help you run your business better and communicate better. So why not take the extra step of simply going through the motions? It's not that challenging to set up.
Yeah, no, completely agree.
Awesome advice from you there. We need to make people sure anyone who watches this watches till the end, because the nuggets are right at the end there. So thanks for joining us, my friend. We'll look forward to getting you back and joining us again. We'll moan about manufacturers next time and their false marketing.
That would be fun.
Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time. I think next time, I'll forget it. Don't worry what next time is. See you soon.